Hello everyone, Empower here and welcome back to a new video. So art rares are set to return in Scarlet EX and Violet EX. So I'm sure this is very good news to a lot of people because, I mean, look at these arts, they are amazing. There's also some new cards to go over, some of which are pretty okay, so that's always nice to see. I did believe initially that we'd see more Scarlet cards revealed today, but apparently that's going to be next week instead, so do have to wait a little bit longer to see the most impactful cards, sadly, but yeah, we do have some cool reveals to go over. So starting things off, we do have this absolutely adorable little Slowpoke in an alleyway. If I had to guess, this card will be worth an absolute bombshell just because of how gorgeous it is. Obviously, the attack effects are not going to be doing anything too crazy, but it does confirm that we'll be getting some kind of Slowbro or Slowking in the set, which is pretty cool and nice to see. So love the artwork, have to say. This is like a 10 out of 10 art for me, so hopefully I'll be able to pick one of these up, but I wouldn't be surprised if this card is extremely difficult to come across. So, very cool card. We also see a Patrisu. Not really a major fan of this art style because it's more like, comes across as more CGI looking as opposed to hand-drawn or painted, but again, major props to the artist. If Patrisu or this kind of art style is really up your bag, then this will be for you. The attack will obviously have to go over and stuff in a minute, but yeah, art style seems pretty decent. We also have a Ralts Curlia God of War line, so this will be like the main reveal of God of War EX that we seen more recently. So very competitive cards. This Ralts having 70 HP also means it's probably one of the more viable Ralts to have. So if you don't mind your attack being, I guess, slightly worse than the other Ralts, then you could definitely play, 4 of these Ralts and then however many God of War you're playing in a deck. So I could foresee this card being very expensive because this will probably be the hardest rarity of the Ralts in that God of War deck to play. So yeah, very cool effect to see. But of course, the kind of like the storyline, I guess, is that this couple is moving into a new house with their Ralts, and then we move to the Curlia, and now she has a baby. And then we move finally to the God of War line, and we see that, they're a retired old couple with God of War. So it's kind of like, oh, well, that's pretty cool. Got this like neat little story that we've also seen several times before in the past. I think there was a Charizard in Generations as well that had this effect. So had this kind of like, well, not effect, but, the story in the artwork, I guess. So it's a bit of a shame that this Curlia isn't the trade steps Curlia or the one with miracle steps, the one that allows you to find more Curlia. I do believe this is actually the worst Curlia stats wise, but it is one of the definitely, it's definitely one of the nicest artworks out there for sure. So could definitely imagine people wanting to at least pick up a couple of these because, the competitive viability of God of War seems pretty strong. So yeah, very glad to see EXs will be getting these character rares. We also see a Graveyard, or I can't really pronounce his name. It's like Graveyard, or it's not obviously not Graveyard. It's something like Graveyard. But either way, this kind of like Litwick inspired white little puppa guy. Very cute artwork. Love the kind of like horror house kind of artwork here. We've got like a Gengar on the floor. We've got a Ghastly, bit of a Drifloon over there. The attack is like nothing crazy. Maybe something for like GLC or Mini League, but yeah, I do like this card a lot. I think it's very cute. We also have a Riolu. Looks like he's been working on the bench press, also causing a ton of havoc. But yeah, I guess it's just there to evolve into Lucario EX, but the artwork, again, is pretty nice. We do also see a promo Hawlucha. Unfortunately, gym promos typically take ages to come from Japan into the West. Like, I typically forget what gym promos are like coming out in the future English sets because they take so long to transition in. But yeah, this Hawlucha has a very strong ability, which we'll go over in a second, because that ability is absolutely wild. So here are a few translations for the new reveal cards. Again, thanks to Justin Basil and Tony L. And Tony L? As I pronounce it? Or Anton? Never mind, I'm thinking about something else. Either way, I thought we'd see more Scarlet and Violet cards, but apparently not. We're going to have to wait a bit longer. But either way, the Slowpoke, Rest. This Pokemon is now asleep, heal 30 damage, and then Headbutt deals 20 for watercolors. 70 HP. If it had a bit less hit points, I would say maybe something like Mini League actually could be a good contender for Slowpoke. But 70 HP is a bit much. But yeah, healing 30 is also pretty broken, I guess, in that format. But yeah, nice Slowpoke. No reason to play this Slowpoke artwork though, if you can get your hands on this one. Miles better in my opinion, but you know. Then we have the Pachirisu, 70 HP. This Pokemon can't be paralyzed. Typically abilities like these are just super niche, not particularly great. Unfortunately, attack is a little too weak to be respectable in standard, but it's also way too strong to be even considered, I think, for Mini League, which is a bit of a shame. Maybe in GLC, actually, this attack is really good because obviously you can only play Lightning Pokemon in your deck. But what does the attack actually do? Lightning Colors does 10 damage and then 20 more for each of your bench Lightning Pokemon. And then this attack's damage isn't affected by weakness, just to add, you know, salt to the wound, I guess. But not being affected by weakness is kind of lame, in all honesty, because, you know, one of the reasons why you play these, like, handy single-price Pokemon is not only just to hit through stuff like Miltank, but also to be able to hit weakness, you know, things like Lugia, I guess. But, yeah, seems a bit pathetic, but 10 damage, 20 more. You can do, like, what, 110 damage max, but a Cramorant does 110 for 0 energy with 4 cards in the Lost Zone, so that's obviously miles better. I probably wouldn't consider this as a single prize option. You could make an argument, okay, you could play this in like a Faffy deck, but at that point, why aren't you just playing the Snorlax from Lost Origin that does 180 for 3? So, yeah, not sure why this, yeah. Not a big fan of this one, but it is kind of like more of a GLC card in that sense. We also see the Graveyard that has the attack Graveyard Frolic that does 10 I hope that's the same translation in English. Does 10 damage for each psychic Pokemon in your discard pile, kind of like very reminiscent of the Night March attack, I guess, that did 20 damage for each of your Night Marchers. This is obviously just 10 damage. It's kind of like, yeah, this is a pretty bad attack. it's just not great. I'm assuming we'll see on the Houndsdoom or something, on the stage 1, we'll probably see like a similar ability or attack maybe that's better. But yeah, not a particularly great attack. Unfortunately, maybe a wee bit too strong actually for Mini League. Depends how many options there are in that card pool to discard Psychic Pokemon, because if there's only like 3 or 4 Psychic Pokemon in the card pool, and then there are even fewer ways of discarding those Pokemon, then, you know, Graveyard Frolic isn't like a broken attack by any means, but it's certainly a pretty good attack to have. So maybe in GLC as the 1-1 line, we'll have to see the evolution lines. Pokemon have been revealing a ton of evolving basics lately for Scarlet and Violet, but they're not actually revealing any of the darn Pokemon. Like, I hope they do realize that most people just like bullet through these games in terms of completion of Pokédex. Plus, the whole roster was like leaked a whole week or something before the games dropped anyway. So I think everyone's seen all the Pokemon at this point. But yeah, enough bashing Pokemon, but still, yeah, Graveyard, it's an okay attack. You know, it's all right. It is what it is. We also have Riolu that does 50 damage and then 20 to itself. So this is like okay. It's just like an okay card. I don't really have much to say about these guys. But Reckless Charge actually is kind of a fun reference, I guess, to the artwork over here. It was just like charging around recklessly, destroying everything. That's like a cool attention to detail from the artist's point. So yeah, kind of a fan of that. Then we also see a Hawlucha here, which will either annoy people or be amazing news. I'm personally glad to see a Hawlucha card that might actually see play after the kind of the disaster that was Raiden Hawlucha. Sorry guys, but Raiden Hawlucha really didn't do much. But either way, this Hawlucha, 70 HP, has the ability Flying Entry that says, when you place Pokemon from your hand into your bench, during your turn, you may choose 2 of your opponent's punched Pokemon and put 1 damage counter on each of them. So this is like a double Zigzagoon ping, but it's only for bench Pokemon. So you can't target their active, you can just target their bench. Honestly, I really like this attack, this ability, sorry. It's kind of like a Zigzagoon card where the attack is awful. Obviously, there's no like evolution of Hawlucha, so we can't have the options to play Rare Candy Obstagoon or anything. But yeah, this ability, really solid. I do like this a lot. Even without Scoop of Net, I think this ability might end up seeing play in something. It's like one of these niche effects that's pretty decent. We do have to bear in mind that if you're playing like a big basic deck as well, and you're playing this as a tag card, there is Penny, which will allow you to pick up one of your basic Pokemon with all cards attached to it, I believe. I can't remember like the exact translation of Penny, but I'm pretty sure it allows you to pick up a basic Pokemon. But either way, Hawlucha does have some solid potential in my opinion. Sucks that it's a gym promo, just means this card will be extra hard to get a hold of. Hopefully this is you know, not the last we've seen in this card, and it actually gets a main release as well, and we see this soon enough. So yeah, some cool attackers, maybe more of a GLC theme, I guess. I just kind of like wish Pokemon would open the floodgates already and show us more evolution Pokemon, and not just like, you know, these evolving basics and I guess EX Pokemon for stuff we've already seen before. But yeah, glad art rares are returning. I love these cards. I think I called them character rares or something earlier. I do apologize. These are art rares, so they're a different thing. But yeah, very happy to see these cards. Let me know what you think down below. It's been Ember Power.